Dre in Houston, what are some vehicles that are universally loved, in quotes, but you guys just don't like them that much? Universally loved, but we don't like them that much. Tough. That's a tough question. How do I define universally loved?
I mean, DeLorean is an easy one.
Yeah.
Like we can love it because it looks cool, but it sucks to drive.
Yeah. Muscle cars in general. I'm just not that into muscle cars.
Yeah. The Challenger, even the modern one, I think just doesn't drive great unless you're going straight and you want a couch.
Yeah. Universally loved, but I don't like them that much. I just had one that came in and then went in and out.
I mean, the early Aventador, like
first gen Aventador?
Yeah. It looked like a fighter plane, okay, and then it just drove poorly.
Mm-hmm. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Blackview Dash Cams, and boy, do they have a mouthful. The DR970 X2 channel LTE. Do that again. The Blackview DR970 X2 channel LTE. They are going to have to come up with some catchy Hellcat-esque names for these things. They just keep tacking on letters. But here's what it means, right? Finding an internet connection can be a struggle, but now the new Blackview DR970 X2 channel LTE dash cam makes it easy for you and your vehicle to stay connected anytime, anywhere. It combines superb 4K ultra high HD image quality with simple LTE connectivity using the built-in SIM card reader. This dual channel Blackview dash cam comes with both front and rear cameras, and the front camera captures every little detail in crisp 4K quality, while the rear camera comes with a full HD Sony Starvis image sensor, ensuring best clarity under any light. The LTE dash cam comes with the free Blackview app, allowing you to connect to your dash cam directly over the cloud. You get impact notifications, watch the live view, and download videos directly to your phone. The Blackview DR970X 2-channel LTE comes with native parking mode, which means it can be hardwired to your vehicle's fuse panel without requiring additional accessories. The dash cam will switch to parking mode automatically when your ignition is turned off. And thanks to the video buffer, the few seconds leading to any triggering event are also recorded. When you pair it with Blackview Cloud, parking mode lets your dash cam save event videos to the cloud in real time, just as they happen. So if your car gets broken into and the camera gets stolen, ripped off the dash or whatever, those videos are saved. The Blackview DR970X 2-channel LTE dash cam also doubles as a Wi-Fi hotspot for up to 5 devices, allowing your passengers to use the internet while on the go. You get the best 4K dash cam protection, the ultimate cloud connectivity, and the convenience of a Wi-Fi hotspot with the DR970X 2-channel LTE. So go to blackview.com/TST. That's BLACKVUE.com/TST. To learn more about the DR970X 2-channel LTE dash cam, use the promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackview dash cam or parking mode accessory and free shipping for all orders over $200. Code TIRE, my friends, blackview.com/TST, code TIRE. Also brought to you in part today by Viore. Love my Viore shirts. Wearing one right now as we record this podcast. It is soft. It is breathable. You can wear it to the gym. You can wear it on a podcast. You can wear it with a blazer when you go to a nice sushi dinner in Austin, Texas with Formula One world champions. It's a new perspective on performance apparel. It's perfect if you're sick and tired of traditional old workout gear. Everything is designed to work out in, but it doesn't look or feel like it. It's so comfortable you'll want to wear it all the time. It's very versatile, can be used for any activity from running and training to swimming and yoga, but also great for lounging or weekend errands. It's just awesome. We've got the men's core shirt, which is an amazingly comfortable lined athletic shirt. You could do one pair of shorts for every sport. The Sunday joggers, the official pants of Zach Clapman, also available as shorts. They look like fancy pants, but they're very soft and you can wear them for any athletic activity. And you've got the Strato Fiber t-shirts that I love to wear. I've got 20 of them in my closet. I got rid of all my other t-shirts. I only wear these now. They make sweat disappear. Hot day, Texas, racetrack, sweat, gone. You'll never see it. Vuori is an investment in your happiness. And for our listeners, they're offering 20% off your first purchase. So get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at vuori.com/TST. That's VUORI.com/TST. 20% off your first purchase, free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75, and free returns. Go to vuori.com/TST and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about Game Time. Listen, there have only been a few ways to buy tickets to sports and events throughout my entire lifetime. When a new one comes along, it is a big deal. Buying tickets to stuff generally sucks. It's stressful, and it shouldn't be. And now Game Time is here. It's the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you quickly, simply, and easily. And when killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee pop up, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. They've got so much going on in the Game Time app, whether it's concerts, playoff games, and more. They've got flash deals, last-minute tickets to events. It's easy to find and buy tickets for any kind of event in your area. You can pull up the images of the view from your seats. So other apps, they've just got that seating chart on the stadium, but with Game Time, you will know what the view of the stage or the field or the arena or the court will look like from where these seats are. They offer the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and more. Forget planning months in advance because Game Time has deals on tickets right up until the day of the event. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price, and if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's amazing. The tickets are sent directly to your phone. You'll never have to dig through your email. You buy tickets in a matter of seconds, just 2 taps, and you're there. All you got to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, use code SMOKINGTIRE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, so create an account and redeem code SMOKINGTIRE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, folks, on today's episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast, we talk about the brand new Lamborghini Revuelto, the replacement for the Aventador with its hybrid powertrain. We talk about why hybrids, separately from the Lamborghini Revuelto, may be the solution that gets us most of the way to EVs without a lot of the downsides. I review the book There Are No Accidents by Jesse Singer, which is an incredibly important book. And we have some great questions from the Patreon. It's a crew show on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Righto. What's up, folks? Smoking Tire Podcast. Here we are. It's another crew show. You might be going to 2 crew shows in a row and really get gypped here. We had 2 guest shows last week. Spinelli and Andrew Comrie Picard were in studio, and that was a treat. And I just booked for next week this dude, Ed Zitron, who writes a fantastic newsletter, like a Substack kind of thing that you could subscribe to. He's a mandatory follow on Twitter, and also just has a really good newsletter about tech, finance, social media, AI, all that kind of stuff. It's not cars per se, but it's an important tangent as tech and AI and business become intertwined with the cars, right? Because batteries, computing, software, all that kind of shit.
He had a strong endorsement from Hardigree. Randomly texted me and was like, Ed's going to be great on the show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they're friends
I got
or
him.
what.
I found him through like Niedermeyer and Riley Brennan and people like that
makes sense.
that are really smart. He wrote, you know, when Musk took over Twitter, he wrote just like a fucking amazing takedown, like not for the sake of takedowns, like because everything that
Analysis.
Elon Musk has done to like ruin Twitter in the last few months, like this dude said was going to happen on the first day. So I'm very excited to have him on the show, and he'll be here in studio, which is great. Do I smell like bacon right now?
Do you smell like bacon?
Yeah.
I don't. No, not to me.
All right, good. Because you know, when you make bacon in the morning, you can smell it on yourself.
Oh yeah,
for like,
and in the house.
Yeah, for like ever. And I didn't want to like. I wasn't dirty, so I didn't want to shower. Usually, the shower opens up the pores and gets the bacon.
Dude, if
smell.
you walk in smelling like bacon, no one complains.
That's true. It's a good point.
Everyone goes,
but
you know what I want now? Bacon.
I can really smell bacon on myself right now. I met with the nutritionist, and so, you know, actually my caveman body really needs to be fed like a caveman. So rather than having
like a low carb situation?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm when I have time, I'm doing the eggs and bacon, and then when I got to run, like tomorrow when we go film the M2 and we got to get up early and I'm not going to cook a whole breakfast, I got like 6 hard-boiled eggs in the fridge. I'm supposed to dunk that in olive oil and sprinkle it in salt.
Cool.
That's the move. But I haven't made bacon in a while, and I forgot how much I smell like bacon for fucking hours afterwards. Like it just sticks right to you.
Yeah.
You know, but damn, is bacon good? Because when I talked to the nutritionist, I was kind of like, you know, I was a little sheepish. I was like, yeah, you know, a couple days a week we go film, we go to the diner afterwards, and I'll have like eggs and bacon. She's like, actually, that's the best breakfast you're having all week. And I was like, she's like, you need to have more of that and less cereal. I was like, okay.
Right. It's just about the sides you get with breakfast. You know, if you get hash browns aren't
yeah,
good for you.
I probably should not get the hash browns, but like, I love hash browns.
I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna miss hash browns. I miss hash browns more than I miss wine. I tell you that fucking much.
Oh, I get that.
Hash browns are so delicious.
If I had to choose between delicious, crunchy carbs and alcohol, I would choose carbs every day.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I told the nutritionist if I had to choose between, because she said one of the things is I need to make bread a special occasion thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just have a sandwich for lunch. Like she's like, you need to get to a place where bread is a special treat, like dessert, like ice cream. And, you know, maybe it's like only if you're going to some like amazing baker, or if you're going to some incredible Italian restaurant and they have the best, you know, like the focaccia at Felix or something. Mm-hmm. But like, don't just like have a sandwich with like whatever bread. Make it, if you make it special, then it's okay. But like, so.
And you'll appreciate it more and enjoy it more.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you could only ever eat great bread. That would be nice instead of shitty bread. So anyway, that's going all right. Things to talk about today. The new Aventador just leaked, but it's not the new Aventador. It's the replacement for the Aventador. It's called the Revuelto.
Right.
Not Revuelto, Revuelto, which is not a great name. Although I have to say, almost every time Lamborghini comes out with a new car, we hate the name.
Well, it's always named after a bull, and I think it is again, right?
No, Revuelto means mixed up, meaning like it's got the hybrid and the gasoline. That's what it kind of. That's what I'm told it means. It means it's mixed up. There may have actually been. There is also a bull connection, but it also means scrambled. It basically means scrambled eggs. It's what if you were in Spain and ordered scrambled eggs, you would order huevos revuelto. Yes,
and it would come with a battery in it.
Only at the finest restaurants.
Right.
My nutritionist, by the way, was like, only eat Duracells. Don't eat the Costco battery.
Yeah.
No Amazon Basics batteries for you.
You don't know what's in it.
Yeah. So it looks exactly like I expected it to look. What did you expect the car to look like this, Zach? We've got a picture.
I mean, the
up for the
profile
video
I
people.
saw, it looks. If you put a cover on this and an Aventador, the profile looks very similar. Even though they are different, it's a different monocoque.
I think it's got a lot of C7 Corvette in the side there, especially at this rear 3/4 angle. Oh boy, is that center section C7 Corvette like.
The front, I'm surprised by, because it looks quite different from like a Technica or I need to pull up a photo.
The front to me looks a little Koenigsegg-ish, also a little Zinger vehicle design-ish. Also a little what's that other weird the Lycan Hypersport? It looks got a little of that, but that in between the axles where the door is at, it looks like the top of a Huracan with the bottom of a C7 Corvette.
Just that big kind of angular polygonish intake.
Yeah. I think it'll be attractive in person. One thing I'm told by people who've seen it full size is that it's smaller, a bit smaller than the Aventador.
Oh, that's good.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a front drive shaft and a front differential. The packaging of the inside, it's physically a little bit smaller on the outside, and then also has more room on the inside.
Nice.
Because the center tunnel can be much smaller because there's not a drive shaft that goes through there and a gearbox.
The Aventador was always like the most cramped large car.
Yeah.
You know, it always felt big everywhere except where you sat.
Yeah, big on the outside, small on the inside. But in general, it looks evolutionary. If you've seen the Centenario or those other kind of one-offy Lambos they've done, not one-off, but they've done like 10
special
of them.
Edition
Special edition.
Things,
You know, that's how when they went from the Mercy to the Reventon, it was a sneak peek of Aventador, and that's sort of what happened with the Cyan and the Centenario.
The back looks very cool. I like this.
Yeah, it's got a pinched fighter plane thing happening in the back.
Yeah, as always. And you know, I mean, we've driven a number of hybrid infused supercars or hypercars lately, and like if they do as good a job with this as like 296 Ferrari did with their 296, I mean, this should be really fun.
Well, it's
like
important.
The marriage of the two.
You know,
is great.
remember Rimac is now part of this group, right? You've got the Volkswagen, Audi. You know, all of these companies are now they're going to get their hybridization from the top down from Rimac. So that's going to be the motors, that's going to be the batteries, whether it's this or whether it's the new Bugatti or whether it's going to be whatever the next, probably the 911 Turbo SE hybrid.
Porsche owns like 12, 13 or 30% of Rimac.
The whole, it's all going to be integrated with the Rimac technology, which is probably for the best. Just like let them do that. And it's obviously going to be really fast, 1,000 horsepower. What's the torque? 7. The torque is like 7 something. It's 1,000 horsepower though. You know, we're really getting to a point where a lot of these hybrid cars are similar. Like the numbers that Lambo put out was 1,001 horsepower. Yeah, I'm sure it's exactly the 1,001. And where does the 187 horsepower battery pack? Peak current flow of 187 horsepower, but 3 147 horsepower motors. It's only a 3.8 kilowatt hour battery pack. And so
that's small. I think that's half the size of the Ferrari 296. I think that was
small.
a 7.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm not sure how much EV only you're going to be doing, but
I think it was probably 6 miles or something very small.
Whatever the minimum is for London.
Yeah,
that's.
There's no torque figure. Okay,
and then the gasoline V12 is 814 horsepower, 6.5 liter V12. So, that's good. That's good. Very, very exciting. It's always exciting when there's a new
You
Lambo.
can recharge the battery in just 6 minutes using the engine. So, you know, we had the Volvo XC60 recharge. And like when you drove that, it would definitely take more than 6 minutes to charge that battery, which is a larger battery, of course. But that's just
larger battery,
that's very quick.
Smaller
engine. It's just, and 6 minutes later you have full battery.
A big torque motor. A big torque engine like a V12 that already has a pretty fast idle.
Yeah,
you know that thing it can idle high and does sometimes. So especially if you're driving it, you're probably revving it higher than the Volvo's 2-liter would be revving.
Right,
most of the
they
time.
probably put a more aggressive generator on it.
Yeah,
and I know like a lot of their focus was with what was their car? Sesto Elemento? No, which one? Which Lambo was it with the capacitor technology? I can't remember.
Cyan.
Like they were they put a lot of attention to like recharging as quickly as possible on the track, under braking, etc. So you can get back that power boost coming out of the corners. So I bet it'll be cool. As long as the power systems work together.
I mean, I would guess that if you're using it in whatever they're going to call like qualifying mode, kill mode, that it will be able to maintain using a combination of brakes and engine full power for 10 or 15 laps of a racetrack, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's exciting. New Lambo. I have a couple customers here at WCCS that will be buying them, so we'll be seeing them around, and that's exciting.
Cool.
New Lambos only happen rarely.
Yeah.
They've only got 3 models, and so they each have 10-year product life cycles. So the Aventador came out, remember, 2011. So it was a 12-year-old.
Well, and now with the front motors, if they can do some of that NSX magic steering to the front end,
sure,
which has always been like a little bit of the weak point of the Aventador.
Yeah, like when they got to the S and the SVJ, and they really did the rear steer stuff, that made a big difference. But if you combine that with the ability to overdrive one motor and underdrive the other motor, you could probably make this thing handle pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very exciting. New Revuelto scrambled. There's a lot of jokes to be made there when people start crashing them into walls.
Right. Ooh, the yolks everywhere. That's not good.
But yeah, speaking of plug-in hybrids, video just went up today of the one Volvo and the one Polestar, XC60 Recharge and the Polestar 2. Basically, Zach and I wanted to demonstrate that I put a video announcement instead of a static post, Zach. Demonstrate that while EVs are cool, we've been talking about them a lot. The mainstream media and the government have both been pushing them on you as hard as they can. But while the infrastructure is not there, and while people are still living in apartments like Zach does, that might not have at-home charging, you might not have at-work charging, these plug-in hybrids are pretty amazing because they allow you to drive most of the time on electric and run your errands, drive in urban environments on electricity, and then allow you to continue driving actually indefinitely on the gas engine later.
Yeah.
It's a system that really does make sense. I wrote an article for Road and Track a couple months ago about why the term hybrid isn't cool and makes the hybrid cars not seem cool compared to the EVs, and that they really should start allowing them to call themselves self-charging EVs, because it's kind of what they are in a certain sense.
That is a good marketing term.
A good self-charging EV.
Itself, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, a good marketing term. And I think it was in the video, but a couple people on social media asked me how much, because we drove it. I drove the thing, the XC60, half on electricity till the battery died, and then I switched to gas and put it in charge mode to charge the battery back up. And I thought I left it in the video that we'd put 12 miles back into the battery in the second half of the drive, but maybe it got cut.
I think it got cut at the end because it was part of the part that was
not great. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it was rambly.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that happens. I do that. So basically, 40 miles of range on the XC60 Recharge, which I drove the car for 5 days, plugged it in for 2 hours a day at my level 2 charger, 2 to 3 hours a day, and never used the gas engine. And then I had to drive 85 miles away, used the 40 miles of electricity. The gas engine kicked on, totally seamless. It still makes excellent power. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder, so it's not exactly a luxurious engine, but you're not using it very much. It works. Mm-hmm. And the regen still works once the gas engine kicks on, the one-pedal drive, that still works. And it has charge mode. So once the gas engine comes back on, you can put it into charge mode, and it will run the engine a little bit harder and charge the battery back up so that when you get back to an urban area, it will then have battery for you to drive around on EV. And so the second half of our drive, which was 44 miles, in that 44 miles, I ran it in charge mode, and I put 12 miles of EV back into the battery. So it's like 25%, 25-ish percent efficient back of generating electricity. So for every 3 or 4 miles you drive on charge mode, you can put 1 back into the battery, which is great.
Do you know what was the decrease in MPG was?
I don't know the difference in how efficient it would be to not drive in charge mode versus to drive in charge mode. So I'm sure it's more efficient to not drive in charge mode. And if you wanted to be maximally efficient, I would drive until the battery died and then drive in regular hybrid mode until you could get home and plug it in. Mm-hmm. But I like the idea of driving using gasoline on the highways and using electricity in urban areas. So I wanted to have some electricity left for when I got back into the urban area and could drive on electricity.
Yeah, or if you're sitting in stop and go traffic.
Right.
I hate idling. Like I just hate the 800 RPM to 1500, 800 to 1500. So you go EV mode for that.
Yeah.
And then when you get back up to 75 miles per hour, go back to hybrid gas mode.
Yeah, in the video I really just wanted to demonstrate the technology more so than be maximally efficient. And if you want to be maximally efficient, you probably just plug it in when you're at home and then drive on gas hybrid mode when you're out and about.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't test that many plug-in hybrids on our channel, but it's something.
The numbers on this video will demonstrate why that is.
Very true. But it's something we've talked about more and more, especially in the last month, ever since we started talking about mining and the water usage for lithium and all these other things, is learning about how much the cost that goes into batteries, like the physical cost, financial cost, human cost, and environmental cost. And going, oh, well, if we can just get 10 plug-in hybrids for the, quote, price of one big EV,
totally,
then that makes way more sense, like from an ethical standpoint, and then also it's
and
more
a practical one.
Yeah, it's more useful.
You can get people electrified who might not have somewhere convenient to charge at home. You can get more people electrified who do have somewhere to charge at home. And you can use... If you could easily turn a vehicle that might have gotten 25 or 30 miles per gallon into a vehicle that gets net 200 to 250 miles per gallon if all of your short trips are done on electricity.
And what was the MSRP of your car? 70 something?
It starts at 57. Mine was pretty loaded up with options, and it was 74. So you don't have to get the crazy one, but
one of our patrons said the hybrid will cost 20 more than the EV, but I think they both start about the same price. Like the Polestar 2 was almost 70 grand, but it was the special edition one, but it starts in the 50s. And that was a dual motor large battery pack.
Yeah.
So like basically, it's not true that the hybrid will cost 20 more than the EV. It just depends on what spec you get from each.
The XC60 equipped in a similar fashion to my Mach-E costs about $7 grand more. It was about 60. This one I drove had all the fancy shit. Air suspension, special wheels, blacked out trim, stuff that wouldn't fundamentally change the experience, although I really liked the air suspension. I'd probably find a way to get the air suspension if I bought one of these things, because the ride was amazing on Volvo's air suspension. It was a beautiful ride, and I really liked it. I liked it so much. The seats were so good. The interior was so nice. It did so many things really well. The only things it didn't do well were it didn't have wireless CarPlay. It had only, because it's a Google or Android based system.
It is,
and it looks like an Android tablet pretty much. The icons and stuff are.
Well, it also didn't really have wired CarPlay. Both of us had problems when plugged. Or sorry, I had problems in the Polestar.
Had a bunch of hiccups.
In.
Yeah. The XC60 had one hiccup, but once I abandoned wireless stuff and just went to wired, it was fine. The other thing it was missing for 75 grand was automatic rain sensing windshield wipers.
Oh,
I drove it in the
surprising.
rain a lot.
We did.
And
Yeah, we
for
did.
$75,000 to not have auto wipers, I think is missing.
I agree.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Clarification from our patron, he was making a Tesla joke. They were saying that, if Tesla made a plug-in hybrid, they would call it the self-charging EV. Or I call it or the auto charger, as I said. So, and then they would charge more for it.
When I wrote the article about why they don't call it a self-charging EV, someone tweeted at me or something and explained why the government says you can't do that. I think that rule could be. I think
like
we
the
could
cruise control
we could
law with
lobby to
Winnebago?
change that.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what it was that made it that you can't call it that. But that's what it is, though. I mean, I think it's not an EV because it's a hybrid. Because the presence of a gas engine makes
That's
it
why.
not an EV.
So it's not that they're saying you can't convince someone this is a perpetual motion machine by using self-charge. It's more just about the term EV. Because it's
the
a hybrid.
presence of gasoline, the presence of a combustion engine makes it not an EV in the ways that the government cares about.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird, but fundamentally, that's what you have for most in terms of any kind of practical usage. That's what you've got.
I'm so into it. I mean, even the Mirai, which had problems because hydrogen cars have so many problems, all infrastructure related, basically. The fact that it was an EV that just used the engine to generate it, and then you had the convenience of filling a fluid or a gas up, is so great. It's a great and the gasoline hybrid is a much better system because the infrastructure is already there. And it's just
and we
good.
learned this with the Volt. Like, no one gave a shit about the Volt, or very few people did. No one watched my videos about the Volt. No one cared. And GM did a terrible job marketing the Volt when it was out. And the Volt couldn't charge itself. You had to plug it in. Once the gas came on, it didn't have a charge mode to pump that energy back into the battery. And all the new ones do. The Volvo does. The Porsche does. I'm blanking on who else. I think the Toyotas. I think the RAV4 Prime can use the gas engine to charge the battery back up. So the current generation of these can all do that.
Wasn't how the i3 worked? The range extender was just the engine that sent electricity to the battery.
I don't know if the i3 range extender could charge the battery back up or just keep the car moving.
Okay, I don't remember either.
I never drove an i3 long enough. When I reviewed the i3, it was a fan car, so I don't really remember. I did like how it drove, though. i3s drove nice.
Me too. Yeah,
it drove good.
So go watch that video, people.
Go watch the video.
Stuff.
The Polestar 2 BST edition is I'm not sure it's the best use of resources, but
no, it's not.
Polestar 2 was like a really good selling EV in Europe and Asia in the past few months. I think it's outselling Tesla in Europe right now.
I mean, I see more of them around now because that way your brain works. Like, I drove it and now I look around and I see more of them. I don't see a ton of them, but they are more present than I thought they were.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. We get into some of the numbers on the pricing and the 270 and the special edition thing, which is not exactly true anymore. So I don't know. Go watch the video. We get into all of that.
Yeah, but the XC60 Recharge, super nice. And I get the XC40 Recharge Friday, so we'll have something with that as well. I'm kind of excited for the XC40 Recharge.
It's a good looking little
Looks
trucklet.
cool.
Yeah.
Looks cool. Yeah. What else do I have on the list? Book review time. Jesse Singer, There Are No Accidents. Very, very important book. If you're a car enthusiast, if you're an urbanist, if you're a car enthusiast who's also an urbanist, and also if you're pro car dependence, and there are people like that. I fight with them on Twitter a lot. Mm-hmm. There are people who think that just because our world is set up for cars, that's how it should always be,
or how it can always be.
Yeah. There Are No Accidents, The Deadly Rise of Injury and Disaster, Who Profits and Who Pays the Price. The premise of the book is basically that the word accident is used all the time. And It's used in a car accident, a slip and fall accident, an accident at work. Someone is accident prone. There's environmental accidents, nuclear accidents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in pretty much every one of these cases, there are systematic safeguards that either broke down or could have been put in place to prevent this from happening, this injury or death. And they either weren't because they cost money people didn't want to spend, or other things were prioritized to benefit a certain group of people and not at the expense of another group of people, or choices were made regarding road, sidewalk layouts, traffic flow that are not the safe choices, that they're the choices that, for instance, maximize vehicle travel speed at the expense of pedestrians, etc. And
so as a recent example, would it be like the Norfolk Southern train crash was, labeled accident,
yes.
Train derails.
Right.
But the question now is, did that happen because money was taken out of personnel? They
yes.
reduced the amount of time a person can spend assessing the train, and then
right.
on the system, they didn't put money in the system.
Right.
So now the thing crashes.
Right. So the metaphor that is used over and over in the book is slices of Swiss cheese that are stacked. Now, each layer is some type of a safeguard against someone getting hurt or killed, mm-hmm. or groups of people getting hurt or killed. And each layer as a safeguard, there's a couple of holes in that layer. But if you line up stacks of cheese, Swiss cheese, the holes, you can't see all the way through it. But if you
start removing
layers, it becomes more and more likely that those holes will line up. Mm-hmm. Or if you arrange the layers in a way intentionally designed for those holes to line up because it's more profitable, then it is more likely that injury or death will happen. And injuries and death happen massively disproportionately to a certain type of person.
Oh, of course. So like 737 MAX, that whole story with Boeing.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen the documentary online, Netflix, go watch it for sure. But basically, when the new executives came in and they partnered it with Lockheed, I think it was, when they merged the two, Lockheed was very focused on finance and profit.
Yes.
So they removed a number of things, including a redundant sensor.
There's a redundant sensor as well as pilot retraining. They didn't want to. They intentionally didn't classify the MCAS system. The new 737 MAX had an inherently unstable airframe, meaning it wouldn't just. If you let the controls go, it wouldn't always just fly straight and true. It required a software program called MCAS that would, without the pilot knowing, apply pressure up and down to the controls to balance the nose of the aircraft. And that system worked on one sensor.
Right.
And if that one sensor fucked up, you had a massive, massive problem.
And the planes before the 737 MAX had two of those sensors. It was redundancy. Because aviation is huge in redundancy or even triplicate for safety reasons.
Yeah. And then also they cut retraining costs for the pilots so they wouldn't have to recertify them if they flew the previous generation of 737 and then this generation. If they included this MCAS as a totally new system, they'd have to recertify all their pilots, which costs money. Instead, they didn't declare that to be a new system. They called it part of the control system or whatever. I don't know the exact terminology. Some aviation nerd is going to fucking go crazy. But the bottom line is, in the flight manual of like how to fly the plane, it didn't even say MCAS. So when one of those crashes was like about to happen, like literally in the plane, the pilot's like flipping through the thing trying to figure out what to do, and it's not even in there what to do. And so that's one thing. That's a big systematic problem. And because so many people died at once, hundreds of people at once, it got splashy media coverage, public pressure, and especially when it happened a second time. But most, quote, accidents do not result in hundreds of people dying at once. It results in one person dying or two people dying. And when that happens, according to the book, it is much easier. You can't, when two jumbo jets crash in a year, and they're the same type of aircraft and crash in the same type of way, you can't ignore that, right? There's clearly something systematic that is wrong. And remember, they tried to blame the pilots.
Yep, first time they did.
First time they did.
Because they were outside the United States.
Right.
And they were like, oh, these guys.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's what they did.
And but when an individual gets hurt or dies, they can go, well, this person is accident prone. This person wasn't paying attention. This person didn't follow the rules. As opposed to this piece of equipment is designed to be operated by two people, and instead it was operated by one person because the layoffs, they got rid of the guy who was supposed to operate it, and now this guy who operates the machine next to it has to do this, and he needs overtime, and he's working this because they're not paying him enough, and there was a union, and now the union's gone, and the union. So those are the layers who've been removed that results in a higher percentage of worker deaths and injuries.
Is this book focused on the larger scale, like corporations, companies, big accidents, or does it go down to like the individual person, walks around a corner in their office, trips, and like hits their head on a desk?
It's more like factory type injuries than simple slip and fall injuries. Although they do address slip and fall, like they're like, but also they talk about road design, urban design, whether it's like, for instance, there's a situation where. Like pedestrians, like the invention of jaywalking. The invention of jaywalking is a decision that allows that the auto industry lobbied for, that allowed the blame for a car hitting a person to be placed on the person and not the car. They used to in like the 20s, they used to call it like car murder. When a car hit a pedestrian, it was like car murder. And the car industry got really nervous because people were afraid to drive their cars because they didn't want to run over people and be labeled murderers. So they invented terms like jaywalking to shift the blame. And, it's a car accident, but I hit a jaywalker. So you know what I mean? So they... by shifting the blame onto, well, that person didn't cross the street where they were supposed to, and therefore it's their fault that I hit them.
Was a law in place that came around when cars became more prevalent that said people needed to cross at the corners, and then it was like, did that law exist before the car manufacturers came up with this term jaywalker, or did they come up with the term and make the law?
The crosswalk happened first, but then... Yes, then the term quickly happened where it became the legal thing where if you were outside the crosswalk, you were a jaywalker. Someone made a choice to give the street to cars. And ever since then, almost all legislation has prioritized the efficiency of moving cars through dense urban spaces at the expense of people. And in modern times, they tried to float this distracted pedestrian thing where it's like, oh, well, you were on your phone. You were walking and texting, and so it's your fault that you got hit by a car and whatnot. Whereas there are places, and the standards for putting a crosswalk on a street are ridiculously high. It has to be like 99 people cross that street per hour for 5 hours straight. And if that, or 100 people. And if it's 99 or 98, it doesn't justify.
You mean like putting one in the middle of the street?
In the middle, in between. And it's because there's a case study in the book about a person who lived in an apartment complex that's across a 4-lane road from a bus stop, and the nearest crosswalk is like a mile either way.
Whoa.
And so she had to run across the street to get to the bus stop. And she was hit with her kid. The kid was killed.
Ugh.
And she got more punishment for putting the kid in harm's way by jaywalking with the kid. They charged her with a homicide, the manslaughter, versus the driver, where it was like, oh, it was an accident, even though the driver was drunk and on painkillers. So they found a way to shift that blame. And then furthermore, even after that happened, you go, well, maybe we should put a crosswalk here. But in our litigious American society, they can't put a crosswalk there later, because if they do, it means there was something wrong before. It's tacitly accepting the blame. So by blaming...
Really?
Yeah. Jesus. So by blaming I don't believe in it, but I believe in fixing the problem, not going, it's your fault, right? So over and over in this book, it's, do we want to make this better, or do we want to blame someone for when it goes wrong? And by blaming someone, the jaywalker, the accident-prone worker, the person who didn't read the rules correctly, it absolves the system. You blame one person and you go, well, you fucked up. You were drunk. You didn't cross where you're supposed to cross. You didn't read the instructions right on this machine. And when those people die, we find a way to blame them. And this happens all over the place. As opposed to blaming poor road design, as opposed to blaming someone for not spending the money to make the workplace safe, as opposed to not having enough safety inspectors on site at a very dangerous factory or construction site or something like that. And I DM'd Jessie Singer. She's going to come join us on the podcast to talk about this stuff. She was excited to come on down. She's on parental leave right now, but she'll be back in the action in May or June and is going to come join us.
Very cool.
But I really, you should read this.
Oh, well, yeah.
And it's, by the way, this book is 335 pages long. And the book ends on page 256. So almost 25% of this book is citations.
Wow.
So this isn't just like some fucking lefty bullshit, fly-by-night book. This is like a incredibly well-cited...
It's not an op-ed.
Yeah. No, this is like a research thesis.
Cool.
And that's not even to talk about... and another big one, there's a big chapter on, is environmental disasters and race. If you are black or Latino or poor, but those kind of tend to go hand in hand in America, you're much more likely to live next to a place where environmental disasters and spills happen. And because
you don't have the money to hire lawyers to say, this is not okay.
And you don't have the money to, or you don't have the money to live in a nice area. The people who can afford to say, we don't want that factory, chemical plant, whatever, in our neighborhood, train depot, what have you, living, and these people experience shorter lifespans, awful health conditions, and all kinds of stuff. And then these industries can lobby for looser regulations where they can get away with, either explicitly or implicitly, get away with doing horrible things to the environment, really affecting people who live around there. And by the way, if you live in a poor neighborhood, you're much, much more likely to die by accident, whether it's getting hit by a car because there aren't street lights. The cars driving in that neighborhood don't have modern headlight technology and pedestrian impact. You're much more likely to die in a house fire because you won't own your home, and it might be a cheaply built home that maybe doesn't have up-to-date carbon monoxide or smoke detectors. If you're in a very poor rural area, you're much more likely to die as a result of it being a far trip to a hospital, or for someone to come rescue you from something. If you're indigenous, you are by far the most likely person to die by accident, by far. Because on reservations and stuff, they don't give a fuck. Not we.
Yeah.
You know, don't give a fuck about you. And so it's got this rolling, snowballing, avalanching effect on certain types of people over and over and over and over and over. If you can only take one. If you're forced into a certain type of job that's really fucking dangerous and has no oversight, but you're desperate and have no, you know,
of course.
like,
Yeah.
and that job is an hour away. So you're more likely to drive your crappy car down a crappy road at crappy times of day. You're more likely to then be depressed or hurt and do drugs and get in an accident or an overdose. Like, there's just
systemic butterfly
it's
effect.
crazy how much more likely you are to die, quote, by accident if you're poor, black, or Latino, and it's all just a snowballing effect of potential risk factors and accidents. It's fucking wild.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, very depressing.
Cool, meaning I'm interested in reading it.
No,
I
yeah.
mean, I just wanted to clarify.
It's a really
for the
well-written
internet.
book. It's mandatory reading for, I think, anyone who cares about our society, because we are so they meaning everybody, including all of us, are so quick to blame an individual for their own fate as opposed to the system or systems that put them there.
Yeah, yeah.
So really looking forward to talking to Jesse about this in person. It's a very important topic. So that is a great book. What else do I have on my list? We got the new M2. We haven't really driven it much yet. Can't really talk about it because the embargo is not until this weekend. We'll have a video for you on Monday. But I can say it looks fucking weird.
It is such a weird looking car.
Really weird looking car.
And I know we had the M240 last year, which is basically like the same body shape, but it was in a darker color, which hid a lot of this, I think.
And some of the M-specific stuff isn't good.
Is changed? I have to look at them side by side.
That front bumper and that rear bumper, which are specific to the M, it looks like they left the prototype cladding on the car.
Yeah, the rear bumper, it looks 80% bigger than it should. Like it sticks out.
You can switch the photo. I've got a rear bumper photo there.
It sticks out from the rear taillights like 5 inches. I mean, it looks like it was taken off a larger car.
There might be a functional or regulatory reason for it. Might be. Keep going. But it is a protrusion.
It is a protrusion. I mean, there's just so much bumper here. And this was parked next to, outside like a newish Camry. And so I was looking back and forth. Granted, I think that Camry's like a 2016 or something like that. And it, you know, the bumpers, like all these leading edges are important for CFD. And it protrudes too, but there's just something about the way this was like molded where it looks like the top half is a small car and the bottom half was like a 5 Series, and they just grabbed all the body cladding off the 5 Series and like made it fit. It looks so bad.
Yeah. Some elements are good. The flared fenders are pretty good.
Sure.
The
Always.
upper greenhouse, pretty good. I like the interior for the most part, but the sort of the choices of what is round and what are square is a little weird to me. Those squares on the nose, those lower air dam squares, come off as very weird.
It's a good point because these are
square.
As square as it gets.
Yeah.
And then right above it, the light is like a mix of a straight line and then a curved line. And actually the grills themselves are kind of a mix and it just looks so odd.
It's a very, very weird looking car.
Yeah.
We will tell you how it drives post-embargo next week once the video comes up. And by the way, this color, which everyone seems to like on this car, not many people were commenting on it when Hyundai did it first 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it is the same.
That's a Hyundai color.
Totally.
Yeah. And this one is not a stick. I wanted to get it before the embargo because that's important for the numbers that we get a video up on embargo day, but they didn't have a stick available pre-embargo. So we'll have to get another one later that's a stick. This one is the automatic, but it is what it is. It's 453 horsepower. It's rear-wheel drive, and it's the weirdest new BMW. Now, they're all weird. They're not making a car. What car? The X3 is the only car, their X5, are the only cars they're making right now that aren't weird looking. Because are they still making the regular 5 Series? 5 Series is not weird looking.
Yeah,
The
X3 looks
X3
normal.
is a handsome vehicle.
Right? The grill is big, but it's not as big as some of the other
Yeah.
cars in the lineup. Yeah, and the back, like...
That design language on the X3, which carries
All makes
over
a bit more
from
sense.
the previous generation, 3 Series and 5 Series, the F80 or whatever you call it, is better. The 5 Series looks fine. That's a reasonably attractive vehicle. But a lot of their new designs that are coming out for 2023, 2024, very weird.
Yeah, I mean, like this headlight makes sense to me with this front air dam, like the angles and everything else.
Yeah.
Whereas you go back to the 2, and it's just, there's like 5 different, I don't know. There's 5
really
different shapes.
strange.
It's rare that I say a car would be best purchased in black, because I think there's so many other exciting colors out there. But black would hide a lot of this.
Yeah. I drove by a last gen M2 yesterday, and it really made me appreciate that
It's a
one.
good looking car.
Yeah. Really made me appreciate that.
From the start of that run to the end, it got a little more aggressive as it went on, but I think they're all good looking cars.
Yeah.
And it looks like a cohesive thing. This looks like so many committees or ideas.
Clinton, who works for us here at Westside, went outside and said the middle looks like a Scion TC, which I can't unsee.
Yeah.
It kind of does. So we'll get back to you with the driving dynamics next week. What else? I don't have anything else written down. Hybrid, non-hybrid. Oh, lastly, did you see in Assetto Corsa somebody made a cat mod and you can race cats?
No,
and
but
they make like Ferrari engine sounds.
That's funny.
It's pretty fucking funny.
People have
There was
made
a Road
some
and Track
hilarious
article
mods.
about cat racing in Assetto Corsa, and I saw one of the videos
that's great.
There's a scroll down. There's like a Twitter or Instagram video we can play. It's like real funny. Yeah, look at this. It's like it's the sound of like.
Oh, I mean, that sounds like a V12.
Or yeah, it's some kind of exotic car, but like it's a cat. It's cat. They're drifting. He's drifting. There's smoke coming out.
And it's tiny.
Yeah,
It's tiny. It
it's
looks
the
like
size of a cat. Yeah,
That's really funny.
Like I don't know why that made me so happy.
I mean, I get it.
Especially
and it
'cause
lays
it's not
tire tracks that are too wide. That's
And
funny.
it's not a cat like running. It's a cat that's like meatloafed.
Yeah.
It's like a full meatloaf cat.
People I've seen like shopping carts that people made and put up there, and it just lays smoke and it's drifting. It's really cool what
Pretty
you can do
funny.
up there.
Okay, you got anything, or should we go to the Patreon?
No, we can go to Patreon.
All right. Of course, if you want to listen to the show ahead of time, when we record it instead of when it comes out, if you want to get ad-free listening experience, you want to ask us questions for the show, or if you want to get our car review videos without ads, and that's not just without YouTube ads, but without host mention ads, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. It is growing. We had a lot of new subscribers in the last month to the Patreon. Thank you all. Lucas says, how do you deal with having so many social media followers, and how do you keep it from distorting your reality and altering your ego? Does it ever take a toll in your personal life? I have like so much self-loathing that I don't know how many followers it would take for me to not hate myself, but I'm not there yet.
I don't think the number would influence that. I think that's like internal because you can get, if you had a larger following, you can get more negative comments or you can get more positive comments. I don't know if there's a ratio that would work, but
yeah.
Well, I think there's two sides to this. Like the pro is accountability makes me pay more attention to the things I post in a good way. Like try to be more factual or more accurate or, I don't know, just a little better about it than just putting up like, here's a photo or here's a thing. But of course the negative side is, you know, you can get a lot of people shitting on something you say or on something you put up, especially if you care about it. Or you're like,
it's hard if you care. If you don't care, then it doesn't matter at all. If you actually care, and I do care, then you want to have quality posts that aren't wrong. Mm-hmm. And you also don't want to think that just because you have followers, it makes you always right.
Yeah.
I like to think, and I'm not a perfect human, but if I'm wrong about something and get corrected, that I accept that correction, learn from it, and move on. Or if I say something that I mean as a joke, but it turns out to offend somebody or offend a group of people, it's usually unintentional. But if it happens, I take my licks and I learn from it and I move on. I don't dig my heels in the way I maybe used to do or some other people do. And I find that can actually help with personal growth.
I think you can learn a lot if you have that attitude, because there are people out there that know more about a specific subject than you and I can ever know, because that might be their specialty or that might be their favorite thing in the world. Like we're talking about 737 MAX today. There's people out there that are probably aerospace engineers, and they might have a whole bunch of wisdom that we don't know about it. So you can learn something from those folks if you kind of have that open, more even mind. But I think it's much easier. Like, one, I watched you blow up when we were like in our 20s, and I had like zero following of any kind, and I watched you go through like the downs of people were really shitty to you for like 5 years until that audience got bored and moved on, and now you have a much more supportive crowd like on YouTube and on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I watched
got called
like
fat
that effect.
like 500 times a day for a decade.
Yeah, and it was really fucked up of people to do that. It does nothing for their life. It does a lot to your life, and I was fortunate to kind of like have you lead by example on how to handle that kind of stuff, and also just being 35 by the time anyone started paying attention was helpful, because I just have a different attitude. But man, if you're 23, like, I mean, the studies have shown like social media is really bad for young people. And there's a reason why.
It wasn't very good for me. I mean, it sounds trite, but like also don't read the comments. Like I used to actually read the YouTuber comments because I was so insecure. I was seeking the validation from those people, and what I got instead was a bunch of like horrible people saying horrible things. And so I stopped doing that. I don't read YouTube comments at all anymore, and because it's not quality validation. Instead, I get validation from my friends and my wife, stuff like that. So yeah, and it's also important to take full-on breaks from social media. I'm lucky that my wife reminds me regularly, like when we're doing something together, to like leave my phone at home or hit do not disturb or like whatever. And I also don't have social media really on my phone. And I really try to only use it from a computer so I can kind of be in that mindset and get up and walk away. And it's not a substitute for real interactions with real people.
Yeah, it's not.
Dre in Houston, what are some vehicles that are universally loved, in quotes, but you guys just don't like them that much? Universally loved, but we don't like them that much. Tough. That's a tough question. How do I define universally loved?
I mean, DeLorean is an easy one.
Yeah.
Like we can love it because it looks cool, but it sucks to drive.
Yeah. Muscle cars in general. I'm just not that into muscle cars.
Yeah. The Challenger, even the modern one, I think just doesn't drive great unless you're going straight and you want a couch.
Yeah. Universally loved, but I don't like them that much. I just had one that came in and then went in and out.
I mean, the early Aventador, like
first gen Aventador.
Yeah, it looked like a fighter plane, okay, and then it just drove poorly, and that just let me down as far as like this is a supercar, and it's letting me down dynamically.
Sure. The Nissan GTR, the modern one, I don't know if it's universally loved, but certainly popular with a lot of folks. I'm not that into them. They don't really do much for me.
The V10 M5, like I can't get into it. I don't know. It just doesn't pull me.
They're not so great for me either. The Subaru STI, I don't love. They don't do that much for me. I like the RSTI when people put the powertrain in the little two-door.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but
that is more exciting.
The off-the-rack one doesn't really do so much for me. That's a pretty good list, I think. Escalades. Escalades, TRXs, big SUVs and trucks I don't really care for.
The Escalade, I've only been in it for like livery stuff going to launches, and they do their job well, but if the road is bumpy with big wheels now and everything, they actually shudder across things a bit too much.
Not great. Anthony L. says, new and used car prices are becoming absurd, and I can't see the value in new cars these days. Would it be worth buying a very clean, low-mile Lexus LS400 or a W210 Mercedes E-Class cash and paying for maintenance? I bought 3 new cars in the last year, and ironically, my 84 380 SL is my most reliable car. Well, you're getting to a point now where the Lexus LS 400s, cars from the 90s, are now approaching 30. They're 25 to 30 years old. And so what that means is if you want them to really be good, we're now talking about bushings, shocks, complete brake assemblies, major services. And so if you want something to get around, and sure, those cars are pretty bottomed out in value. They're reasonably comfortable, assuming, I mean, highly variable, because you can get one where the seat's like blown out and it's not that comfortable. But they're cruisers and they're durable if you do the maintenance. So there's a difference between like dependable and durable.
Yeah.
You know, something could break and it could be expensive. But if you do all the maintenance, they'll last a very long time because they were built to last from the factory.
Like VW Bugs, I feel like are durable, but they're not that dependable. Like you can fix them easily, and everyone's like, you can fix it easily, and the parts are light, the engines you can take out. It's like, yeah, but do they need to be tweaked a lot? Whereas a Toyota Prius is dependable.
You could drive a Camry for 50,000 miles with no oil in it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's dependable. But durable is the car will go 1,000,000 miles, but you have to do the maintenance to the factory spec. You know.
Now, this person says they bought 3 new cars and none of them have been that reliable. I wonder if you bought the 3 Alphas we talked about a few weeks ago. That was hilarious. But one thing that I'm thinking of is if you got an LS400 and if you did a major service with bushings and everything, like let's say you put $6,000 into it, you got a decent one, $6,000 into it, any new car you buy is probably going to depreciate that much unless it only starts at like $22,000.
Yeah.
So it's actually, you might come out net positive and lose less money.
That's totally possible, totally doable.
Yeah.
And those cars are made to last. Same with the W210 Mercedes, same with a BMW E46 or E39. If you do the maintenance that those cars need to the fullest, they'll last a really, really long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, especially if you are a handy person and can do it yourself, and
saves you money.
If you're thorough, it's possible. Dante Casali says, "Do you think funny or eye-catching lead pictures for car listings bring more traffic?" Yes, I do. I absolutely do.
Referring to this.
Oh, referring to a set of Fuchs wheels. Well, they were sold for $4,200 for a set of 15-inch wheels, so I would say they do.
I think Dante just described advertising. That's what he's done by accident.
Yeah.
Yes, the catchier the photo, the
That's
more
very
people will
funny.
see it and then be drawn to it, and then that will increase the revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked to Doug DeMuro about that as well. Matt Cheseldine says, how insanely long do you think the wait list will be at the Rolex ADs for the new GMT Master 2 unveiled on Monday? The new GMT in gold with the Jubilee.
Is that what you posted yesterday?
Yeah. You know I'm in my 40s because I'm like, oh, that's the shit.
Because you want a gold watch?
That's the fire. Yeah. I bought myself a gold watch for my 40th birthday. GMT Master Gold. It will be the top result because it just came out. That the new one. There you go. New 2023 models. We'll click Rolex. We'll click a sponsored link. Go down. Let's find the gold GMT on Jubilee, baby.
That's cool. That blue and brown.
Yeah, that's the platinum. That blue brown. If you go back up, the blue. If you see a Daytona in blue dial with the brown bezel, that's platinum.
Oh,
that means not only is that the most expensive.
Is that the cheaper one?
No, that fucking thing is not only is it very expensive. That thing probably weighs 280 grams. Like, that's a fucking boat anchor on your. It's so. I put one of them on once. It is the heaviest watch I've ever worn. Go keep. Oh, the new GMT Master 2. They showed the two-tone one. Go up.
Oh.
They showed the two-tone. Yeah, click that one, but it's the full gold. Why? What's with the two-tone Rolex? There it is. That's the one. It's so expensive.
Gold Seiko? Is that your gold watch?
It looks like my gold Seiko.
Right.
I mean, I have
No, you have a gold.
I have a real gold Daytona, a Rolex
Oh, you do?
Daytona
Okay.
with the Tahitian dial.
Okay.
But I have this watch in steel, which is awesome and one of my favorite watches. But this gold shit is fire.
But why? See, I'm just not into watches, so I'm like, if you already have a gold Rolex,
Because I'm an asshole. Like I'm not because I'm an idiot. I'm not really gonna buy that. But like
no. And my question, anyone could apply it to either of us about cars. They're like, why do you want a second car or a third car? They both go fast, sort of, and do the thing.
Go
it's
ask
the same
Seinfeld.
thing.
Like, why do you have 100 Porsches?
Yeah.
You have a 1973 and a 1974. What's the difference? I mean, because we're junkies. And I'm not going to buy this. That watch, no shit. MSRP is probably $60,000. I'm not. I can't. Not even if I fucking wanted to. I'm not a customer for that. But if I like
sold all your watches.
Sold a bunch of literally sold like 6 watches, I could buy that, and it's fire. It's very fire. That's how you know you're a Jewish guy in your 40s. If you look at that and go, yes. You know, fucking Yuri from Straight Pipes texted me this morning. He was like, I feel you, bro. I want that shit so bad. That shit is dope. Yeah, so I'm into it. And that's the only release from Watches and Wonders from Rolex that did you see? Go back to the new watches thing. They've got this like bubbly thing that they did.
Right.
Down, that. So in 2020, the Oyster Perpetual came out with what they call the Stella dials, which I have the yellow.
Okay.
And it's
right.
And they came out with Tiffany blue, green, red, dark blue, and yellow. And so this year they came out with one with all of those colors on
that's
it,
cool.
which I actually think is very fun.
Yeah,
I am
think
into
that is
this
fun.
one. This will be impossible to buy. Nobody will fucking get it. You're going to see LeBron James wearing one of these like next week.
Right.
And that's the only one you'll ever see.
Oh, man.
I really like my yellow. And they did another one that's puzzle pieces, which
that's
I'm
cool.
not. Go to it. Go back to the new watches menu. And if you go to the, keep going to the date, keep going down. Click on that and see if the puzzle piece one comes up. Not this weird one. Keep going. Where's the puzzle? Where's the motherfucking puzzle piece, yo?
All gem settings.
That one has like a marble dial, which is pretty crazy. I don't know why it doesn't have it. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Well, the one with the puzzle pieces themselves are pretty cool, but the it's got emojis on the date wheel, and if you're Rolex, you should be above using emojis for fucking anything.
Not above money.
You should never. Rolex should not be in the meme game. Yeah, so there it is. The puzzle piece thing I'm really into, but
Wait.
no, that's not April Fool's Day. That's just that's it. If you're Rolex, you cannot be putting emojis on shit. Is it not loading?
No. I'm reading this thing that says, did they push the press release?
No, it's not.
April
It's
1st?
not they didn't push press release. The press release was 3 days ago. So like the puzzle piece thing is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But see the fucking upside down panda where the date should be? Mm-hmm. Like, don't do emojis, Rolex.
Well, what else is in there besides the panda? Is it just like...
It's like there's like a
poop
smiley
emoji?
face and like there's a bunch of emojis. It's dumb.
What,
I'm not into it.
And how do you know what the date is?
You don't. It's not. That watch is not for telling the. How do you even read the time?
That's
how
a
do you
good
even
point.
know what fucking time it is?
It's hard. Like, I don't have epilepsy.
And by the way, you
but
see
this
where it
could
says
start
on the top, it says love?
Live, laugh, love.
Normally it would say like Monday. That's the date. So the day goes on the top and the date goes on the side. And now instead of day and date, it says love panda.
What if that's your love day, and then the next day is like your hatred day?
For that
and your
watch,
next day is your
you should
productivity
get
day.
you should get love every time that comes up when you wear one of those. I'm not into that. It's not for me, but I do like the puzzle piece aspect of it.
I like the round bubbles more because it just.
I do too.
I think it just suits. It's a round watch,
Yeah.
so why not have the
The
round?
bubbles
thing
are
for
fun. I don't like the fluted bezel. That's where the bezel has the ridges on it.
This looks like something you would win in one of those grabber claw games, and you're
Looks
like,
fake, doesn't
it
it?
would be like called Polex or something like that.
Yeah. I was in the Rolex boutique the other day, and I was like, I asked about the gold GMT, and they're like, what'd you think about the puzzle watch? And I was like, a hard no for me. The list will be long. No one will ever get one. Okay. Richard James says a double round. Okay. Oh, boy. Second one. What's the weirdest car you guys have tested in your career, like outlandish or bizarrely designed?
Are we going with press car or just anything? Probably anything.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Let's
driven
bring the
like
one takes in. That's the weirder. That's the fun thing.
I drove the Deco liner.
That wins.
The Deco liner was the best.
Yeah.
That was the fucking coolest.
For people that didn't watch us back in 2011, let me pull a photo up because it is an amazing thing.
What year was that?
I think that was like 2010.
2011? Yeah, 11.
Something
it
like
was
that.
a long time ago. Yes. The Blastoline Deco liner.
This is definitely.
It was the most beautiful RV ever made, built by Randy Grubb, and you could drive it from the roof. It had regular controls in the cab, and then it had a fucking flybridge, which, the best. It had
you could drive
not
from the
just
top.
a driver's seat up on the top, but it was a full seating area like a boat.
Yeah, it's really,
Keep
incredible.
going.
It's
There
got
it
stairs,
is.
and then
Stairs,
there you go.
they're right there. Look, that's like a Chris Craft
This is one
up
of the
there.
coolest things.
And it was not just, it drove really nice actually. It drove exactly like it was supposed to drive. And it was beautiful and it was amazing. And I forgot how much Randy sold it for, but it was just an absolute work of art. Is there a photo of the inside if you keep going down? Do we have more photos? Yeah, there's the inside. Look at that.
the ribs.
I mean, that's just fantastic. The little kitchenette in there.
It's so cool.
And that couch in the back lays flat and becomes a bed. And those portholes down the middle, those are in the stairs.
Yeah.
Just
It's
the
rad.
coolest.
You can't see the cab.
That,
No, that's up top.
that's up top, yeah. But the cab kind of looked like that
It's
too.
so awesome.
Driving from the roof was the coolest.
Yeah, I think, did we do that for Tuned
Yeah,
also?
it was for Tuned, yeah.
It was on Tuned, right?
I loved that video. It was so great. I love Randy Grubb.
I rode in like a 28 Model A that was made of rusty metal and had no seatbelts, of course, and had mechanical fuel injection. And that was one of the weirdest, more dangerous experiences of my life. And it was exciting.
Mm-hmm. Caleb says, looking at prices of the newer AMG GTs, and I'm not quite understanding why they are so cheap. $60,000 to $80,000 for, as I understand, an SLS-ish coupe. Are they just not as good of a driving experience or a basket case maintenance-wise? I don't know what the maintenance is of these, the long-term maintenance, but they're, first off, it's not the same as an SLS. The gull-wing doors are different. They made fewer SLSs. This is a much more mass-produced car. Having said that, not a bad car, and definitely more. You get, I think, in terms of a driving experience, it's probably, if it's a GTS, certainly. If it's a regular base GT, probably an $80,000 driving experience. If it's an S, a little more. I think they're pretty nice to drive, although the early cars were pretty stiff. I remember when I drove it new, I remember it being stiff. I'm surprised they're that cheap because they don't look that much different from the ones they're selling right now. It's a nice car though, 60 to 80 grand.
Great car.
You really you get your money's worth there, but I have no idea what the maintenance is on those.
So MB World Forum says that the total production numbers for SLSs was 2,700, just over 2,700.
Yeah.
So that's pretty low.
Pretty low.
Yeah.
And you divide it between coupes and roadsters. There's
And I will add an asterisk that the official numbers are not known, so we don't know if this is U.S. or worldwide. But either way, if it's worldwide, it's super low, and even if it's just U.S. based, that's really low because I'm sure they sold more of those in a single year of an AMG GT.
Yeah. Let's see. Gunnar put up two questions, and I'm gonna I'm going to take one of them. Tesla makes 4 cars, the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y. If you had to downsize Porsche to 4 cars, what would it be? Okay, well, the way, and then he puts some examples, but the examples that he puts for Porsche are not congruous with the examples for Tesla. For instance, he calls the Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Model Y 4 cars, but there are multiple sub-variants of each car. So, for example, your example is the 911T, the 718 Spider 4.0, the Taycan 4S Sport Turismo, and the Cayenne GTS. But each of those Teslas has long range, rear wheel drive, all wheel drive, blah blah blah. So that's not tit for tat. So
let's broaden it out then. Like, just
if you were to keep 4 Porsches, I would keep the Boxster, the 911, the Macan, and the Taycan. That would be my 4.
That is a very good, yeah. I was trying to think if a Macan is an EV and then I could get rid of the Taycan, but I don't know what I would swap it out for. Like, I really like the Cayman
if the Macan was an EV, you could definitely get rid of Taycan.
Yeah.
And then keep Cayenne.
Yeah.
Cayenne hybrid. Crandy says, what do you think of 997 GT3 RS pricing? Are these going up and to the right forever and thus worth the $300K entry price today? Well, predictive of future pricing, I don't know, but those are amazing cars. They drive great. They are very visceral. They're very usable. They're fun on the track. They're fun on the street. They're the right size. This is very important. They are stick shift. Our food here, Zach?
No, Vinny needs this key.
Oh, sorry. They're excellent cars. The 997 to a lot of people is the ultimate water-cooled 911 because of the size, because of the way it looks. It's a very clean design. And if you look at a 911 from the 997 generation to today, still holds 2 people and a couple of kids, still has a decent-sized trunk. You haven't gotten a lot more space for the extra size of the 911. And the GT3 RS is still a very fast car. It still feels very fast. So I think $300K gets you that's an extreme number that gets you a real collector grade car. You don't have to spend that much to get an RS. It'll have miles on it. It'll be a used one and not one. You want a GT3 RS with 3,000 miles on it? Yeah, it's $300,000. You want one with 25 or 30,000 miles on it? It's way less. And so all GT3 RSs are not crazy expensive, but if you want a collector grade one, will it probably hold its value well? Yes, it's a very desirable car. Mm-hmm. Andrew N. has a E46 M3 manual, owned since new, just hit 100K miles, as well as an Audi Q5. I'd like to get a third car for fun daily driving to avoid more miles on the M3. What would give a different enough driving experience to justify it? Would the new M2 fit the bill? It could. I have no budget here.
I mean, I wouldn't. I guess they're pretty different. It'd be weird to be like, I want to break things up a bit and get the newest version of the E46 M3.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I mean, it's turbocharged, but I wouldn't do that. Do something.
I'd probably rather have for a daily driver, I'd rather have the 230i with the 4-cylinder. That feels different.
Yeah.
And it was a nice, light, tossable car. Or,
I mean, you could also just get, I would depart from Germany. I would get something Japanese or
Lexus IS
American.
500.
IS 500. That would be exciting and a good, comfortable daily. Yeah.
Or an Audi S3.
Yeah, that's a really good car.
S3 is a very nice car. I like those a lot. I'm winging it, not knowing what the budget is here.
I mean, if he's talking new M2, then that means I assume they've got 70 grand.
Yeah.
So
although the Q5, the S3 would feel kind of similar to a Q5.
it looks
That's
pretty much the same inside.
MQB architecture-ish.
I think IS500.
IS500 would be sweet.
Yeah,
That's
you're
a great
the perfect
daily.
person for that.
Probably. Chris Navio, this question. I feel like someone asked this recently. Thoughts on the second generation Vanquish? I swear somebody asked this.
Someone asked a lot of Aston shopping questions like 2 weeks in a row.
Second gen Vanquish, pick one up for 125K, ton of car for the money. You're not wrong, although the Gen 2.5, halfway through that Vanquish run, they switched to the 8-speed ZF transmission, which is better than the 6-speed, quote, speed shift
Good
Aston
Lord, yes it is.
gearbox. So I don't know what the jump is to go from a second gen to a second gen 0.5 with that 8-speed, but it's probably worth it. But it's a very, very pretty car, and they sound great, and they're very nice to drive.
Looks like 2014 to 18 is when they switched to the 8-speed. Yeah, that's worth it.
You want the 8-speed,
Yeah.
for sure. Because that's the kind of car you want to be able to drive in automatic mode, in town, and the 6-speed is clunkier in the automatic mode. It's fine when you're winding it out and paddle shifting.
How are the downshifts though?
On the 6-speed, fine in sporty driving.
Okay.
But it's just clunky in auto, and you want the 8-speed really. Plus, if you're going to road trip it, you get way better fuel economy. I know no one buys an Aston for fuel economy, but it's 12-cylinder engine. You get a lot more for that. I don't understand Richard Duck's question. Nintendo and Sega came out with modernized mini consoles years ago with enhancements to make them accessible and easier to play. What car models would you bring back in similar fashion? Mini cars?
A mini car?
I'm not sure what mini car, there's a company called, I think, the Little Car Company that makes old Ferraris and shit into go-karts.
And they're very expensive.
And they're $80,000.
Yeah. They're for your child to drive on your estate. That is 100% what they're for.
Yeah.
NES Classic Mini.
I'm not sure I understand the question, so I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Throw some D's on it. A lot of words for this one, but I'll try. Okay. This is notes on the race. No, okay. Is there a question here? I'm sorry. There's a lot of words. Okay. Do you guys get bothered when fans nerd out? No, we don't. It's always nice to have fans come up and say hello. I'm happy to chat with people. I'm happy to take pictures. There is something that we call the linger longer, which it doesn't matter who you are or if you interact with someone that you perceive to be a celebrity. All I would say is know when the conversation is over. I don't know what's the nice way to say that? How to avoid being the linger longer.
I think if you can recognize that the person, celebrity, whatever, I'm just using that term because it's simple. That person is probably busy, or they have other people that might want to talk to them, or they have a place to go, especially if you're in an event. So I think it's better to err on the side of brevity and just say, oh, it was great to talk to you. Thank you so much. Get that moment. And that way you're kind of releasing them to go do something else before they have to kind of release themselves.
That's true.
And if they want to hang out or chat, give them the option. If someone's talking to me for a little while, I go, hey, I don't have nowhere to go and I'm enjoying the conversation, then let the celebrity extend that invitation. But some people they try to force a new question because they don't want the interaction to end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when it can kind of drag on.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Yeah. Good answer from Zach. I don't need to elaborate further. Okay, well, that's our show today. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope everyone is going to have a good weekend. It just stopped raining here, so Zach's going to go out in the M2 today, and we'll film it tomorrow morning. It should be a lot of fun. I hope the roads aren't too fucked. The rain wasn't too bad today, so it should be all right. And thank you all for your questions. Thanks to patrons for supporting us. Of course, do the like and subscribe and share it and all that bullshit. And we will see you guys later. Bye.